crafty friends, this is Geneva from Crafty Witch Creations, and I am back with a new video series as well as a journal series. But before we get into the nitty-gritty, I wanted to do a few updates. First, by the time you see this video, my Etsy store will be up and running, so definitely go check me out at Crafty Witch Creations, all one word. I'm going to have a lot of interesting new items up, so definitely take a look. The second update is that I will be taking a few months off from the design team for Priscilla Randon. You'll know her as Release the Craftin'. I have had a lot of fun the past couple months doing projects with Priscilla's kits, but I wanted to take a little bit of time off to work on personal projects that I have not had the time for due to the craziness of the world right now, and because I have been trying to focus my attention on those design team projects. So I'm just going to take a couple months off, work on some of these projects, and then I will do a few more projects at the end of the year to kind of close out the year. So those are all of the updates I have. So let's get into what the new series are going to be. Okay, so as far as the video and the journal series go, I was inspired by Gail Augustinelli's Making Ephemera playlist, where she goes and takes all of the ideas for her idea journal and she recreates them and makes videos. And I really like the idea of having an idea journal to keep all of the inspiration that I find on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. A localized place where I can see and touch and really get my hands on the things that I want to possibly put in my journals, so that I can keep it all in one place and I don't forget any of the wonderful ideas that I've come across. So I decided I would make my own idea journal. And I decided that I would turn it into a video series and bring you along with me for the ride. So each video is going to be recreating a piece of ephemera that I have found either on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube. A lot of them will probably be YouTube because I'll be using tutorials to help create the ephemera. And I decided to pair that with a journal series I had been planning, because I figured that I'm going to have a lot of videos, a lot of inspiration, and I'm going to be making a lot of ephemera, and it probably won't fit into one journal. For those of you who've been watching Gail's videos, she has like 4 journals and a whole basket full of ideas. So I decided I'm going to need more than one. So I have been planning on making a journal series similar to the one that Priscilla from Release the Craftin' did, where she did a Wheel of the Year journal series. For those of you who don't know, Wheel of the Year is the 8 holidays or Sabbats that people of Wiccan or pagan faith tend to follow. So these are things like Beltane or May Day and Yule. So I decided I was going to do something similar. Because that's 8 journals, I figured that would be plenty of journals to fill with all of my ideas. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using kits from 3 different Etsy stores. So the first store that I'm going to be using kits from is Sassafrass and Treacle. This is an example of one of the pages from their kit. And Priscilla used Sassafrass and Treacle for her journals. The second Etsy store I'm going to be using is a Whimsical Adventure. This is an example of one of their pages. Now, a Whimsical Adventure does not have a kit for every holiday yet, so I will not be doing the holidays in order of when they occur in the year. I will just be doing them based on what I feel inspired to do at the time and which kits are available at a Whimsical Adventure. Sassafrass and Treacle does have all 8 at this point though. The third shop that I am going to be using kits from is Liana Scrap. And this is an example of one of the pages from her kit that I'm going to be using. And I will be linking all of their shops in the description bar. So I'm going to be using a kit from all 3 shops in all of the 8 journals. So the one I decided to start with was Ostara, which is the spring holiday. It's like the beginning of the spring. It falls on or around the spring equinox. And it's just all about renewal and rebirth and the return of all of the plants and things like that. So it's really bright and happy and fun, and I really thought that right now I kind of needed the bright and the happy and the fun. So I decided I would start with this one. This is the cover that I have created so far. Some of you may have seen this on my Instagram, and here's the back. I really love it. And what we're going to be doing for the first video is we're going to be making this book plate. So let me zoom you in so you can see it a little bit better. There is that book plate. So this book plate was made using a tutorial from Natasha at Treasure Books. It's one that I have used on several other of my journals. I really love it. I think it's so cute and fun. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. So we've got to first cut a piece of cardstock or cardboard. So I have this, and I've already kind of cut it in to shape. This one's going to be a little bit more square than the one on the Nature's Epiphany book, but I think that'll be okay because I have a little bit more real estate to work with. And this is just, as you can see, it's a pancake box. So that's what you need first, is a piece of cardboard or heavy cardstock as your base. Then you're going to need a piece of fabric. And you can really use any piece of fabric you want, depending on your look. I was thinking, and I may change my mind, but that I would use the same purple, and I may need to cut a different piece, but that I would use the same purple that I used on the spine, and I think that would look really cute. Okay guys, so I looked through my stash and I found this really cute kind of blue and purple floral, and I like it, but I think doing the whole outside in this floral will be a bit too much since the cover is also floral. But I still like it, and I think it would go really well with the cover. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover it with the purple plaid, but then I'm going to do the accenting fabric with the floral. So the first thing we have to do is we have to wrap the base in this purple. Alright, and so I'm going to put it this way, because something that Natasha shows you, if you put it this way, you can kind of see the design that was originally there. So I'm going to put it this way, where this is in the back, because I don't care, it's going to get glued down. So if it gets seen, or it's not going to be seen. Okay, so now the main base is all glued down. So now we just need to cut our accent fabric to size. So I still want some of the purple to show through. Oop, I didn't cut that enough. There you go. I do want it kind of ruffled a bit, but I do have an edge over here that's keeping me from being able to ruffle it really good. Let's say right about there. Hopefully that was enough, and it was. Awesome. Now you could sew this, and Natasha does, but I do not have a working usable sewing machine. So that is why I glue, and some of you would probably prefer to use Fabri-Tac, but the reason I am not using Fabri-Tac is because where I put the glue, if it seeps through, it won't matter. So now I just need like a piece. Before I glue this down, I need a piece that I'm going to use for like the actual word. I haven't stamped one on here yet, but eventually I will. And then if I want to, I need a bit of lace. So, looking through my laces, this is the one that I'd used on the front of on the spine. So I think I'm actually going to use a bit of this just for a bit of continuity. I'm going to use maybe a piece of this. This is a piece of watercolor paper that I dyed with Rit fabric dye. And so I need a piece that is about 1.5 by, I don't want it square, so maybe 1.5 by 1. And I'm just going to cut this with my cutter. You could tear it if you wanted to, but I kind of like the idea with all of the ragginess of the floral fabric having that bit of a straight edge. So I know this is a bit, I want it 1.5 long. Well, maybe I will do square. Let's see. Let's just see. I could go, could I go to 2 inches? Just barely. But I like that better than the short square piece. Okay. So, real quick, before I glue anything else down, I'm going to give this a bit of a distress. And I did put a bit of glue on this back, which will fix this in a second. If you're worried about that back coming undone, we're going to fix that in a second. Okay, and And then I'm also going to give this part. But I think this green will look pretty cool. I know it's super grungy, but there's going to be parts of the book that is going to be a mix of shabby chic and pretty grunge, I have a feeling. So, alright, I think that's going to look really cool. Alright, so what I'm going to do and how I do it to make sure that there's not going to be any glue spots seen, I put glue on my paper and I stick it here. Then I follow where that piece of paper is. Ooh. I forgot the lace. So we're just going to lift that up a little bit. And we're just going to tuck that under. I like that. I think that's cute. Okay, now for the brads. You could do brads, or you could do really anything. I have used eyelets before. With this one, I'm going to do 4 brads. I'm going to do 1 in each corner. And I use my crocodile. This is how it looks so far. And then you can go in and stamp whatever you want or write. Alright, and so the last bit, this piece is not big enough, is I go just for added security. And I think if I remember correctly, because it has been a bit since I've seen Natasha's video, I believe she does this step as well, but I don't exactly remember. Alright, and then what you're going to do, you're just going to glue this piece right on top. And it just kind of holds everything in place. You don't have to worry about the brads coming undone or the fabric coming undone. It just gives it an extra little oomph. Right, and I'm just going to use the black soot archival. Alright, and I'm going to do just to make sure that it's working right. Okay, O, S, see. I may have more room. I should have centered it a bit more. Oh, guys, guess what? That was not an A. I thought that was the A, but that was not the A. Okay. So, what you may want to do before you go and glue your piece of paper down, you may want to go ahead and stamp it first and then glue. So you don't do what I did. Since this is going to be for me, I'm just going to leave it. That's the A. And it'll just be a funny little oops. You know what? I should probably stick with it. I'll probably put something on top of that. Let's see. Alright guys, so a little bit of mishap, but it has been averted and I actually really like how it came out. So it's one of those like happy accident kind of moments. So now all I have to do is attach it to the journal cover. Now one thing you could do if you wanted to, you could actually use the brads to attach it to the journal cover if you wanted to, but I have already backed the inside and I don't want to have the brad tongs showing. So if I was going to do that, I would have done this first before covering the inside, so that way when I covered the inside it would cover up the brad prongs. So now all you have to do is use whatever glue you prefer. I pretty much stick with Alien's tacky. It works for me for what I need, and just stick that on the front. There we go. So now there is 2 examples of Natasha from Treasure Books DIY book plate. I really love it. Like I've said, I've used Natasha's idea for several journals at this point. One thing I've thought about doing on another journal is putting this type of book plate on top, so that way you could still have the removable like nameplate. Do everything just before you put the brads, put this part right on top. I think that would look really cool, and I may do that in a future journal. But I do like the paper look, especially if you're going to be doing a journal where you don't need an alternate title. It's going to be the same title. Alright guys, so I'm going to head out. That's all for me for today. Please like, comment, subscribe if you like the idea of this journal series and video series. I love hearing from you guys. I love seeing your comments and your notes. Make sure to check me out on Instagram. I try to post every day or at least every week. Yeah, so everybody stay safe, much love, and blessed be.